Boom.
Welcome back to tonight's an interesting night, everybody, because it's been a big week here in Santa Cruz. We had a tsunami. No big deal. But it's just an interesting vibe in the atmosphere here in Santa Cruz. And we're going to talk about it tonight with our guest. Neil, what show number are we on?
600 and something.
600,
11.
11?
A lot.
Okay, so 611 shows here on the Off Lip Radio Show. We're live from Santa Cruz Boardroom right here in beautiful Pleasure Point.
Beautiful
Santa
boardroom.
Cruz County, a great place to be every day of anybody's life. If you're not here and you wish you were, come visit. We would love to see you. But tonight, we are going 3rd District, deep Santa Cruz County. We're going to go deep Santa Cruz City. We're talking to the ex-mayor, current
Former mayor.
councilman, former mayor. Yeah,
Current city
because if you're a councilman and ex-mayor, you're a former mayor. And throwing his hat in the ring for the 3rd District Supervisor spot here in Santa Cruz County. Justin Cummings, welcome to the show.
Get that microphone nice and close.
Yeah, welcome back, yeah.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
You're kind of a rock star here in our town.
Rock star.
I'm going to say it.
Yes,
I mean, you've been kicking ass, taking no prisoners. You jumped into this a while back. We're going to get to the beginning. Mayor, councilman, running for supervisor. Why would anybody be so crazy to do that at this time? I want to know, if we're going to throw you straight into the fire, why are you so passionate about this community that during one of the heaviest moments in history, you're like, I'm going to do it?
You know, that's a great question. And, you know...
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
I'm going to say this. He's an African-American, right? With dreads. Right?
I mean,
He
is that
skates.
not very obvious?
He skates.
Neil? We have
He
to
skates.
explain that?
I'm just, God bless the guy. Right? That's, you know what?
Okay. So let's add another layer to the story. Why are you doing this?
You know, it's a great question. And, you know, I moved to Santa Cruz back in 2007 to do a PhD in ecology, evolutionary biology. And it was, you know, difficult as a grad student to live here back in the early to late, 2000s before the 2010s.
Why did you pick Santa Cruz?
You know, for one, I'd heard about Santa Cruz surfboards, skateboards, but I honestly didn't know much about UCSC. There was a woman, I went to University of Illinois to check out their program, and she was like, I'm retiring, but I know this couple in Santa Cruz that's accepting students. I'll put your resume into them, and that was the last I heard from her. At the time, I was actually working on commercial fishing boats in Alaska as a fisheries observer. Called my mom, and she was like, hey, there's these people from Santa Cruz that have been trying to get in touch with you. And so I called them up, and they were like, hey, we'd really like you to come down and check out UCSC. And I came down to Santa Cruz, and I was like, this is it.
How old were you?
I was 23,
Right.
I believe. Yeah.
You know what's funny is that we hear this a lot of people like, I knew about Santa Cruz skateboards and surfboards before the town.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was kind of your situation too.
Yep. Because as a skater into snowboarding,
Yeah.
like you always saw the logos and everything. And then I got here and I was like, this is Santa Cruz. And I grew up in the punk rock scene in Chicago, listened to a lot of hip hop. And, I'll tell you, when I first moved here, I was not the biggest fan of the weather. Because in the Midwest, it's summer, it's hot.
Right.
Like day and night. It's, you have distinct seasons. That doesn't happen here.
You like icebergs hanging off the roof like that?
No, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, okay.
But-
I want to make sure.
But at first it was like you go outside in the summer in a tank top and shorts, 80 degrees out, not knowing that by 9 p.m. it's going to drop, 30 degrees.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
We love it.
Yeah, so I think it's amazing that your background is, you're a skateboarder.
Yeah.
You grew up skateboarding.
Yeah.
I love that. I feel like our town has we're here at the Santa Cruz Boardroom, but our town has such a steep history in surfing and skateboarding.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like our local politicians don't get it.
Yep.
What a natural resource it is, what a tourist destination it
You
is.
got a plaque outside. You got a plaque outside
There is a
the
plaque.
front door.
And so I appreciate you having that background
Yeah.
because I do feel like I always tell people who live here you don't surf. You live at Squaw Valley and you don't ski.
Mm-hmm.
It's that important in the community. So congratulations to that. I hope it
Thanks.
does give you a perspective on the on what we have
Absolutely.
gifted to us.
Yeah, and that's like part of what draws. And so, to your point, why am I running and why do I care so much? When I really started getting like into knowing Santa Cruz and what it was and the people, the deep history around environmental protection, like innovative thinking about sports, whether it's the dimensions of the wetsuit, surfing, skating, all those things. It's a very innovative place that where there's a very friendly, welcoming vibe if you're willing to be open and you can be different here, right?
Yeah.
That's what to Neil's point, like being an African American with in the county, there's only 1.6% of the population is African American. Why would I step up to run? It's like, well, I've felt welcomed by this community, and that's rare in a lot of places in the United States where African Americans aren't in that big of a.
But when I first met you, you weren't well known. You just you just pretty much got off the boat at that particular time. You weren't, right? Well, how long was it before? My question is to you: how long was it before you arrived here? Before you decided to get into politics here?
Oh, so I first came in 2007, and then I graduated in 2013, and I moved to Miami to do a postdoc. And I lived in Miami from 2013 to 2015, and most of what I worked on there was a project looking at how changes in climate influence the uptake and release of carbon in the Everglades.
I feel like Miami's kind of like Santa Cruz, but the girls wear gold bikinis.
High heels on the beach.
Yeah, it's weird, huh? Right? Okay.
And to that, and I'll come back to this point a little bit later, but people always say, well, people want to come to Santa Cruz because we have the beach and we have the ocean. I lived in Miami. And, there's beach and ocean and the water's much warmer.
Yeah.
But I came back to Santa Cruz, and the big reason why was because of the people.
So you've seen in Miami girls wearing high heels on the beach?
Oh,
Are we going?
But have you seen that in Santa Cruz?
No.
Not one time, right?
No.
Okay. Thank you, folks. Please don't do that. Yeah. Okay. Let's get back to 3rd District Santa Cruz. Explain to me what the 3rd District is. So people who don't know.
Sure.
What does that entail?
Yeah. And I'll just finish to answer Neil's point. I moved back here in 2015.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay,
then-
right. Okay.
And then I ran, 2017.
What made you decide? What made you when you moved back here? What made you decide you want to get into politics? Like throw your hat in the ring?
Right.
'Cause you're up against the wall.
Yeah.
African American. We've got dreads. We got
Miami?
Punk
we got
rocker.
Miami. We got punk rock. We got
Chicago.
skateboarding. Right.
Yeah, and the big thing
Oh,
for me at the time was that a lot of the people who I've been friends with when I left in 2013,
Yeah.
most of them were like, I have to leave, I have to move.
Right.
Because they couldn't afford it.
Right.
The rents are getting jacked. They're getting, notices like 30-day, you have to get out of your house. When you have people who've lived in the same place for 10 plus years,
Yeah.
paid their rent on time,
Right.
And that's not fair, So people who've, spent their life to try to build something here and contribute to the community, they pay their taxes, they pay their rent on time, and then all of a sudden, they get a 25% rent increase, or they just get asked to move out.
Right.
And for me, that's not fair. And if it's happening to, people who are working class, how are we expecting lower class people to make it here? How are we going to support our small businesses with having a workforce for them? And what does it say for future generations, right? Because if people are getting pushed out right now and they're, teachers, they're working at the university, they're small business owners, what does that say for the next generation that's coming through? Like,
Right.
What are we
have no
leaving
chance.
behind them? Exactly.
Right.
You're going to have an Asian community that doesn't have any youth, and you're going to have a place where people will have kids, and their kids will go away to college, and their parents will have to tell them, you're probably never going to be able to come back here.
Right. I get that. I get that.
So that made me
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, top 3 things you need to do. Top 3 things that are on your list right here, and you got notes.
Yep.
Top 3 things that you're going to deal with.
Were you with that camera on there? There's a note. Okay, we're ready.
Yeah, so community stability and safety is a big piece of my platform.
But you have to explain that. What that means.
Yeah, and I'll
Okay.
I'll break all of them down.
Yeah.
Community stability and safety, environmental protection, and then having effective community programs. So programs that address justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion in the county.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about community stability, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we are coming out of probably one of the most chaotic times in our lived, history, right? We have, we're still grappling with COVID, and then all the impacts that have come with that. I know for many small businesses, they're hanging on by a thread. People are barely able to, some people They go to work one day, then there's a scare, they can't go to work. They're really worried about their financial stability in their situations. And so, how do we stabilize the community and do so in a way that will actually provide people some sense of hope, because right now, I talk to business owners all the time, and they're like, some are doing really well, but others are struggling to find even just dishwashers at restaurants. There are help wanted signs everywhere.
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm one
Is
of
that
them.
because, is that because of the government money?
Sorry?
Is that because of the government money and they're relying on the government money, or are they still spending the money that's given to them by the government?
I think that might be a small piece of it, but I also think there's a number of other factors involved. One, it's just increasingly unaffordable to live here. And, I've actually known of a number of people who've contacted me on city council where they, for example, weren't able to pay their rent during COVID, and they've applied for some of the rental assistance. Mm-hmm. That's in the pipeline, but the landlords don't have to take it. And the idea is that, you want to work this out with your landlord, but if your landlord refuses it, it's on the tenant to have to find a lawyer and then take them to court. Right. And how many tenants, if you're coming out of COVID, you don't have any money, you're not going to be able to afford an attorney. Right. And so, it puts a lot of tenants in really bad situations, but we're seeing rent increases, we're seeing evictions, and, for a lot of people, it's like, why should I stay? And people can't, $20 an hour doesn't cut it in this town.
But how can you deal with homeowners? How can you deal with homeowners that are renting these places to kids, and what's your solution on that?
This is part of why I supported rent control. And although Measure M had its issues and a lot of people disagreed with it, rightfully so, it didn't pass. But one of the things that I push is we need to start addressing these issues. And there's been a lot of reluctance from other members on the Santa Cruz City Council. There's reluctancy in the community just based off Measure M to try to address this. But it's something that we have to address because there are a lot of great landlords out there. I have one of them. But when we see situations where people are struggling after, one of the most catastrophic financial events that we've experienced, and then they're getting evicted so they can make room for someone else because they want to have them pay more rent, it just seems absurd that we're not able to protect more tenants.
What does addressing mean?
Good question, by the way.
What does addressing mean? I mean, as you talk about being, addressing the situation, what does that mean?
Well, I think part of it is, creating policies that will help protect these people. I mean, we had an eviction moratorium at the state level, and then that expired.
Right.
And I think the sad thing is that maybe that date was put in place because of the fact that we thought with the vaccine rollout, people are going to get that vaccine, we're going to be on smooth grounds, but we're not. Right. And a lot of the rental assistance that was provided by the state was up until that point. Right. So it was between, certain dates in 2020 up until when the eviction moratorium was lifted in 2021. But now we still see that people don't have stable jobs, and as a result, if they can't afford their rent because they haven't been able to work,
right.
Well,
there's a shortage of rentals too, Neil. I mean, that's the problem right now we have is there's no rentals.
Do you think being in politics, you're pushing a rock up a hill, with the homelessness and mental health and all these other issues you're talking about? You're pushing a rock up a hill. I mean, it's how difficult it is for you to dress and go to work every day and deal with these issues. You're going uphill. Do you see eventually in the future some kind of down? I made Highway 17. I made it to the top. Now I'm coming down the other side. The other side feels way better on my car than going up the hill. Feels better on my car.
In all honesty, I feel like there are so many issues that need to be dealt with that it's just good to chip away at that block. Like you push the boulder up the hill a little bit,
right.
And you hope that the next step you just push it up a little bit more, and push it up a little bit more, and doesn't come sliding back down, right?
Let's talk about 3rd District. You've thrown your hat in the ring. Mm-hmm. You're gonna run the 3rd District, but your 3rd District, like, over 50% burned. You have a dynamic difference between what happens in the city of Santa Cruz and what happens to the people on the Hill.
Yeah.
I've heard of some crazy stories. If you're elected, how can you? There's a lot of people out there that really need some guidance and help. what can you offer them to to be their supervisor and to help the problems up there on the hill right now?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. One thing, if I'm elected supervisor, I want to have at least one. So supervisors get to hire 2 staff members, and one person's going to be dedicated to working on those issues in the North Coast. Period. I have been in contact with many people who've lost their homes. I have friends who lived up there who've lost their homes, and the red tape that's in place that people need to go through, and I think also the communications that people have been receiving, because I've talked to people who've gone in to the planning department one day, they get told something, they come back, they're told a different thing, and it's like, we need to be consistent, and we need to kind of set the bar for, how are people going to be able to rebuild, and how do we do so in a way that's efficient and also protects the environment.
And how can you fast track it? Because
Yeah.
it seems like it's like
A stagnant disaster.
Yeah.
It's a stagnant disaster.
Yeah.
We're so tough.
Yeah.
And I hear stories of people saying this. It's the red tape.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get through the red tape? To rebuild, to be allowed to rebuild, to reduce permit pricing and so forth. Like,
Yeah.
is that on your radar?
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's it's a discussion that I think is really important that we have because you have people who, for example, have had structures for long periods of time, and yes, there are a bunch of codes now that we need to bring our new building up to standard, but at the same time, these are people who've had their lives completely devastated.
They've had generations in this
TC,
uncoded building.
TC, like a friend that we know. You
Yeah,
and I
we have a
both
friend.
know.
Exactly.
I'm just going to build the whole damn thing. I'm just going to build it back like it was. And it's better to ask for forgiveness and permission.
Well,
just
yeah,
go ahead and
exactly.
build what the hell are you going to just go ahead. Is anybody going to come by Pete's house or our friend's house?
So there's people up there that over the years, they popped a bedroom out here because they were on their 50 acres.
Mm-hmm.
And they had their beautiful redwood groves, and they built a patio here, and now they can't. So my question is, and this is a great question,
Yeah.
are you in there? Are you supportive of these people and trying to get their lives back to normal? Because they need an ally right now.
Yeah.
And I know personally friends who need allies.
Yeah.
And allies win votes, right?
Yeah.
And I love the fact that we'll talk about this. I feel like these people are the ones that support you that don't contribute the big money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing for me. It's like I am an ally to these people because I understand what it's like to live and not have much. Growing up like lower middle class in Chicago, it's like you got to scrape to get what you can. And even now, living in Santa Cruz, it's like I've been struggling for years. I'm still a renter. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I see how hard it is if, one day your landlord just slaps you with 30-day notice, you got to get out, you got to find a new place to live. And you live somewhere that's, been relatively affordable, and the only thing that's available is market rate, right? How do you expect somebody to go, let's say you're paying $700 a month, now the only thing you can find is $1,400 for a room. It's a similar situation, right? Where you go having some stability, you go having, you have a place to live. Now all of a sudden your life is ripped out from under you,
Right.
and you have to try to figure out how to live,
Right.
Pay more to live in a place where you've lived for a very long period of time and you can't afford it.
Let me ask you this: how come you want to be the guy to tackle all these huge problems? What the hell?
I know.
Right? I mean,
Dude, a skateboarder guy with dreadlocks having the greatest time of his life.
skate.
Yeah, like, dude, I'm in Santa Cruz. This is the best life ever.
But you want to
I'm gonna run for politics.
there's no rosy anything. There's no sunrise, no sunset. There's no pretty picture. It's tackling problems.
Yeah.
Are you going to stick around and deal with these problems, or do you think you're going to be going as a politician? Back to Sacramento, making some, getting higher and greater, or are you going to stick around here and deal with all the shit we got to deal with?
Well, my preference would be to stick around here and deal
Okay.
with it. I mean, I like local politics because I think the nice thing about it is that
How would you?
He has thick skin.
Hang on a minute.
He does.
How do you like it?
He get
How
yelled
do you-
at.
I mean, I don't know. Growing up in Chicago, especially like
That probably helped you.
well, yes, it did. No,
Right?
100%. I was a black guy growing up in a Irish Catholic neighborhood that was fairly mixed, but it was bordered with, you go across one set of tracks, it was all white, and a lot of people who were racist. You go across another set of tracks, it's all black, and then we're the kind of gray area in between.
Right.
And I did things that were untraditional for black people back then. I listened to punk rock, I skateboarded.
Right.
Like, I was probably...
Outcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me ask you.
But what happens there is that, I had to deal with it from all angles.
Let me ask you this question. Have you dealt with racism in this town?
Have I dealt with racism in Santa Cruz?
Yeah.
Not to the degree, I would say, like, not overtly.
Okay.
And, I mean, I dealt with a lot of racism in Chicago
Right.
growing up.
Right.
And it was pretty in your face. And I feel like Santa Cruz, there are more anti-racists than there are racists. That being said, I think that there's more of an openness to Santa Cruz to try to change. But at the same time, we had these two guys do the burnout on the Black Lives Matter reel downtown.
You're always going to have you're always going to have the local idiots.
Right. But so to say that, for example, when people say racism doesn't exist here, well, racism exists everywhere in the United States.
Right.
I think it's the degree to which it exists, and personally, I haven't experienced it as much as I've experienced it in Chicago.
That's good.
Still have family in Chicago?
Yep.
So there's a photo of you and Andy Mills taking a knee.
That was a big
Yeah,
photo.
but they're pretty viral. But I just want to ask you, it was during the Black Lives Matter march in Santa Cruz. I know that it was unrehearsed. Moment happened.
Yeah.
You did it. Someone got a photo. Maybe Samuel
did.
Yeah.
Did people from Chicago call you and say, like, I saw you on this?
Yeah. All my friends were hitting me up like, yeah, that's awesome.
That's badass.
Yeah. Yeah.
And explain to me what happened. Because I know, like, you were there and it just happened. It was like a weird moment that happened.
Yeah, so the night before, I had gotten tipped off that, because at that time, they had put some fencing around the clock tower and some fencing around certain areas where there had been encampments, and I got tipped off that there might be some activists who were going to come down and rip the fencing down. And so I was like, okay, I need to go and check this out. So in the morning, I woke up, got dressed, biked to the end of Pacific, and just so I could keep an eye on, were people going to actually go and rip it down and hopefully stop it if they were going to do that.
Okay, so just me thinking. It's almost like going to a Trump rally and wearing an anti-Trump shirt, in a way. But you went there and jumped in at that moment, dropped to a knee. Where did Andy Mills show up?
So I got down there, set my bike down. There's obviously nobody trying to rip the fencing down. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just stand here. And Andy was across the street. And there were a number of other people. Joy Flynn was over there. And Andy came across, just to say hi.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that he was saying was, I'm thinking about, because at that point, there was still traffic moving through the intersection. He's like, I'm thinking about calling some cars down here, blocking off the intersection. What do you think? I was like, yeah, absolutely. Because, from his perspective, last thing he wanted to do, people are taking a knee, hit somebody who's pissed off, drive through the crowd.
Got it.
Right? So his whole thing was like, let's divert traffic, let's get some cars out here. And as that was happening, we were chatting, we start seeing people start dropping. And we're like, oh, well, looks like we're going to take a knee. And so we took a knee.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That was an iconic moment in the city.
It kind of was.
City of Santa Cruz.
Yeah,
for sure.
it was. I feel like a very proud moment too.
Yeah.
You should be very proud.
Yeah,
of that.
absolutely.
I want to talk about homelessness. Ready for this?
Oh boy.
I don't want to talk about what's going on today because I'm sick and tired. Him and I are sick and tired talking
we
about.
talk about it all the time.
How do you see it in 10 years? How do you see what you're doing? How do you see what you're doing today? How do you see homelessness in 10 years in this town?
That is going to be very largely dependent on how we deal with housing and how we deal with the cost of housing. And also, I think, at the state and national level, we need to start addressing mental health, right? I mean, Reagan got rid of all the mental health services for the most part in the 80s, largely trying to shut down mental institutions because people were being treated poorly. Well, in my opinion, you deal with the treatment of the people and how people are being treated, and you still provide, and then you provide better services.
Yeah.
Because, this is the snowball of decades of neglect, is what we're dealing with here.
Today.
Today.
Absolutely.
The biggest concerns, when I met with PD and I was talking to them about, what are their issues, if they pick somebody up who's strung out and they want help, there's nowhere for them to go.
Right.
Right? And so, if you have someone who can't hold a job, has difficulty, holding housing, has mental behavioral health issues, and you have nowhere for them to go. That's our population.
And nobody to follow up on them.
Exactly.
Because there's a human that walks by here every day. Sometimes we see him with a sword.
Yep.
Sometimes we see him with a club. Sometimes it's like just a big metal rod. Mm-hmm. In the future, that person, I just feel like may hurt somebody.
Yeah.
And I'll feel
Or
so
themselves.
guilty that nobody is available to help them. And I feel like our country helps everybody but ourselves.
Yeah.
Like we're feeding our people
Are we
all over the world.
Are we responsible to take care of our own selves, though? Are we?
I don't know, but why do we keep... I had a friend in Afghanistan. He said any Afghanistani could get their teeth fixed for free. Show up at any military base, your teeth are fixed for free. I can't get my teeth fixed for free.
Yeah.
But we're paying for that. And what I'm saying is the guy walking down with a sword, who needs mental health? Who takes care of this? Is that a federal problem?
Yeah. Because it's not just Santa Cruz. It's everywhere.
It's national.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
No, there's New York sends people to Santa Cruz. And I mean, like the world's like Santa Cruz is awesome. We got these beds. We got food.
We gotta find anybody who wrote down.
Is there something else here we should
We got
talk about?
notes. We got notes.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I got a few.
next?
I had more on other
Yeah.
pages. Yeah.
I'm ready. Yeah, what do you got?
What do you?
Well,
I tell you what, you take over the show. We'll answer your questions.
Yeah, well, I think that to talk about this point, for example,
Yeah.
one of the big things that we've been hearing from folks is we need alternative crisis response. And that's something that I'm very much on board with.
Alternative crisis
Right.
response.
So the idea is that rather than having, somebody's having a mental health episode, right now you call 911, please show up. Right? We do have a mental health liaison program in the county, and the city has mental liaisons that ride with the police officers.
Right.
But they only work a certain number of hours, and I think there's 2 maybe that we have. And that's a program that needs to be expanded. I think also when we're talking about dealing with homelessness, we really need to start thinking about dividing up that population and starting to address the different sectors of that population.
Why would you divide it?
Because I want to slice off the criminals.
Right.
Okay.
Because they give the whole program a bad name.
And the other thing too, for example, when we're thinking about the city, for example, right? The city last year voted to create some safe sleeping programs, some safe parking programs. Well, and one of the things that I was advocating for was let's come up with a plan. We've had this 2017 report that's come out. There was a community advisory report on how to address homelessness.
Back in 2017.
Right, and then we had the catch, which was 2019. And so we've got 2 reports out now that have community input on how we should address homelessness. 1, let's look to those, but 2, what do we need? For example, if we don't have enough beds for people who are suffering from addiction to go to, why don't we create an encampment? And it's like, okay, these beds are set aside for people who want to get clean.
Right.
These beds are set aside for, women. These beds are set aside for families. Divide up those populations so you can actually start getting people off the street and into treatment.
Do people in District 1 and 2 follow your? Are you guys in it? Are you guys in it together? As far as what you want to do with the homelessness, are you guys, on the same page, or?
I think right now, based on some conversations I've had with supervisors, I think one of the approaches that they're taking is the kind of rapid rehousing. Like all these, I met with Supervisor Coonerty the other day, and we were talking about it. And one of the things that he was pointing out is there's about 1,400 people being housed by the county right now through the various COVID-19 shelter programs.
Right.
So through the hotels, the armory, like the different services that the county is providing. And, I think that based on our conversations, what I'm understanding is that they're trying to find how to put those people into housing. Because, those programs are going to come offline soon. Some will be permanent, but a lot are going to come offline. Where are those people going to go? And if we had 1,400 people just getting dumped on the street tomorrow, imagine, what kind of problem that would be.
Well,
Yeah.
that's almost what it is a problem we have almost, at the same time, based on, I think the need is way bigger than what we're offering,
Oh, yeah.
and so that's, I think, the problem. And where does the funding come from?
And do you have funding? Is there money? Is there money for the programs you're talking about doing? Is there money there?
There is the governor's budget has allocated a substantial amount of money to address homelessness, And so from my perspective, it's, as I mentioned before, let's come up with a plan. You know, let's try to have something in place so that when the money becomes available, that we're able to access it. And then if there isn't money available, one of the things that I've learned as a representative is that it's our job to go to the people at the state and federal level and convey to them what our problems are. I mean, that's what I did during COVID.
Are they going to listen to you, or are they just going to swat you? Are you like, dude, we got problems in every single city in California.
True.
Why would I listen to you? Why would I listen to you?
Because here's the thing, and you
Right.
bring up a really good point. If that is a problem that's happening
Right.
throughout the entire state,
Right.
they need to start doing something about it.
For sure.
And in my perspective, it's we need you to do something, and if you're not, then we're going to find somebody else who will.
Okay.
That is what the whole democratic process is all about.
Right.
Who's going to try to actually get us the resources that we need so we can deal with these problems? And if the people aren't willing to do that, then we vote somebody else in who we hope is going to actually address them.
And I feel bad because California, if I was down on my luck, homeless in Chicago, I'd head to fucking shit to California in a heartbeat and become a burden on the state of California. And I don't blame anybody who is homeless. I have this theory about Santa Cruz. If it just snowed here 2 months a year, we wouldn't have this problem. But we live in paradise. So we need to get the grand share of it. Because we're not only taking care of our own homeless, we're taking care of the rest of the goddamn country too. Because they love it here. We're beautiful weather, it's great, except for sometimes.
Services.
Do you feel it's an injustice to not have the support of the federal government when we are literally housing the homelessness of the entire country? I feel sometimes.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think that that federal support is absolutely what we need. And at the same time, I think that all of in addition to Santa Cruz trying to address these issues, there are some acute systemic issues that we're seeing across the entire United States. One of them being, I think that Airbnb and VRBO were great ideas. I've stayed in plenty of them. But now what we're seeing, and we see it here, is that we see a bunch of houses that are sitting vacant for large parts of the year that could be places where people live. Especially when we're going through a housing shortage, right?
Absolutely. Well, I employ a bunch of UCSC students. When they shut the campus down, they all went home.
Yeah.
They all moved out of their spots. And every Googler, Facebooker, and Instagrammer got a second home in Santa Cruz.
TC, who are you going to rent your house to? If you own a nice house in Santa Cruz, you're going to
A Googler?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're going to take
no,
care
I
of the
get
house.
it.
They're going to
Right.
take care of it. They're going to, right?
So that's a huge problem, which leads me back, full circle. Mm-hmm. When will it be okay to make a garage a studio in Santa Cruz?
There is, I think, and it'd be worth following up on this, but I do believe that there's some state laws that are coming down. They're going to make it easier for people to convert their garages to ADUs and put ADUs on their property. And so these are accessory dwelling units, which is, converting a garage.
Because currently it's like a $60,000 permit, which makes it makes them go underground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, when can the city make a little money? When can we put some kids back in there that are going to work at restaurants and be afforded to live here? Because to me, that's the problem of this town, is that the Googlers came in and fucked it all up, and we don't have a way to make a garage a studio without being shut down, including people on your council. It goes all the way. It's every level of this town. To me, the solution to what you fight for is as simple as that.
You're a renter here,
I'm a renter.
right?
Yep.
How much would your rent be in Chicago compared to what you? I'm not going to ask you what you're paying for rent right now. What would the rent be in Chicago where you used to live? Same type of house that you have right now, or apartment, or whatever.
It's a great question.
What would you be paying if you're
Is
still in Chicago?
expensive?
It's getting there. It depends on where you live, but it's it's going up, and a lot of it too. VRBOs, Airbnbs, tech money, But I would say, like, you could probably
What street? Give me a street you're thinking of. What street do you live on?
in Chicago.
Yep.
I'll think more of neighborhoods. That's
Okay,
a big.
give me a
There's a lot of,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Humboldt Park. My buddy has, I think he's got like a 2, and it's like almost a 3-bedroom.
Right.
It's probably about $1,200.
Okay.
That's a bargain.
Yeah.
That's a
$1,200.
That's the one studio garage
Yeah.
rental here.
Yeah, or a bedroom.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Putting the bedroom here, so even more.
Yeah,
than,
exactly.
Yeah.
We're like $1,500 for a bedroom.
two bedroom-
2,000 for a studio right now.
2 bedrooms, like if you're lucky, 2,800.
Yeah.
And I have friends who are looking for that and they can't find it.
No.
Yeah, it's incredible.
You know, and these are people who work. You know, a couple can't afford 2,800. You know, and then
No.
you have people working multiple jobs, and then it just gets to the point where people are just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
So Santa Cruz is a tourist destination. It's a service industry community.
Yep.
Where do we expect these people to live?
Exactly. And you know, and I also think like, so I'm a big supporter of affordable housing, and I'm a big proponent of building affordable housing. But one of the things that I want to help try to address as county supervisor is, are there ways that we can produce housing that is affordable but doesn't cap people, right? Because,
Right.
for example, if you're like very low income housing, well, you're capped at that, you know, that the amount of money
It keeps you from wanting to grow.
right. You know, but then you have programs like Section 8 where it's kind of, it's based on your income, and ultimately there's a cap, you know, but there's a lot of flexibility within that range. And so, you know, is there a way for us to promote more Section 8 housing, working with housing and urban development to try to, like, I mean, because the one thing that I've heard is that Section 8 housing list, you get on there, it's about 10 years until you get a voucher. You know, there's thousands of people on this list. That
It's
right
like,
there
you
is
might as well go buy a lottery ticket.
that's exactly. It's an
Right.
ineffective government program. So how do we make it more effective and efficient? And that's one of the things. I know that HUD is largely in control of that, but I think there needs to be some collaboration between housing and urban development.
But if you own a
county
piece,
supervisors.
if you own a piece of property, why would you want to go to have low income housing?
Well, because you're guaranteed the rent on Section
I want
8.
to be the greedy. No,
Well-
I'm going to get guaranteed the rent, because if you can't pay the rent, there's 1,200 people. There's
Right. But I get Section 8, but I also have a rental property,
Mm-hmm.
and I get people who apply in their Section 8. I feel like there's no education to me, a renter, why I should rent to a Section 8 person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So as a person who has a entry level renter, you
Mm-hmm.
know, a rental, no one has ever explained to me why it's good to rent to a Section 8.
And see, and this is something that I'm hoping to address as well. Is just getting the appropriate information to people, right? Because if we were able to get more landlords to know, like, here are the benefits, and you know, if you get a bad tenant, here's how we can help you. You know, we might be able to get more people off those lists, and those people could go into, like, you know, a lot of the jobs, whether it's service industry or what have you. But you know, we'll be able to give those people a leg up.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You talk about hoping to do this and hoping to do that. Don't you want to stand on your soapbox by the
Well,
clock tower?
I will do it.
At the clock tower,
Yeah.
and scream out to Santa Cruz, this is the only way it's going to work.
Well, you know,
Follow me. This is the only way this is going to work. You say you be hopeful, but fuck hopeful. This is the way it's going to work.
yeah.
Follow
and-
my lead.
And this is what I'm asking the people of Santa Cruz to do, especially because as someone, to circle all the way back to the beginning,
Right.
you know, you got this black guy, dreadlocks, comes out of nowhere. He's like,
First I met you, I'm like, I could not. I'm like,
you know, supported rent control. Who's this guy?
Right.
And then you know, I'll just say, you know, 2020, we all got slapped in the face
No shit.
with what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And you know, one of the things that I did was go out and try to figure out, like, how are people being negatively impacted? How can we get them the resources that we need, especially during a time when the federal government thought COVID was a joke and we weren't getting any support.
Right.
You know, but you know, because of, I think that, you know, with my leadership in the city of Santa Cruz and the leaders in the other cities within the county of Santa Cruz and our county supervisors, you know, we were all able to come together to work collaboratively to keep our numbers low, keep the deaths down,
Yeah.
and try to do as much as we could.
Right.
And you know, and I think we could always have done more.
Right.
But compared to other communities,
Yeah.
I think we did a stand up
We
job.
did great. I agree
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
And I feel like,
Yeah.
you know, my leadership during that time, especially because we had COVID, Black Lives Matter, fires, recall, we had grad
Everything.
student, you know, that having come through that, you know, I feel like that has set me up to say that I feel like I'm in a position where I can help us lead, you know, move forward in a positive direction, bring people together, and start coming up with solutions to a lot of these problems,
Right.
rather than just shrugging things off and saying, well, there's nothing we can do.
Can we promote your social media? I'm sure you're
Sure.
a big
Justin
social
Cummings
media.
from Santa Supervisor on Instagram.
Yeah.
So you're on Instagram. Let everybody know.
Yeah, so you can visit my website, cummingsforsupervisor.com. You can also visit our page on Facebook, Cummings for Supervisor. You can also go to Instagram, Cummings for Supervisor. And on Twitter, if you're interested in that, it's elect_Cummings.
So it's not free to run for a supervisor. You got
You're raising money. You're trying to raise money, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Is there? And how much can people donate? Can I give you like $100,000? Is that okay right now?
Of course not.
Okay,
No,
so
we got
like
limits here.
$5?
You can give me. Yeah, you know what? We will take any amount
You'll
of money.
take your pair of socks right by now.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I would. I need those.
Because I know that you're fundraising.
Yeah.
It's a big election. We're, in all seriousness, this is serious
When's
stuff.
it? November, right?
Well, the primary is in June.
Okay.
And the way that it works is that if any candidate gets more than 50% plus one of the vote, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had Shepard here last week. We've got
Yep.
you here this week. Is there anybody else? Look, is there anybody else throwing their hat in the ring? Oh, here we go. Notes number. We got
My understanding, there's a man named Thomas Ramos.
Thomas
from Bonnie Doon.
okay.
And then there's another gentleman named Cove Britton.
Okay.
He's an architect, Santa Cruz.
You've heard of him, TC?
Okay, and I haven't heard of them, but you're a former mayor.
Yep.
You've been on the council. You've thrown your hat in the 3rd district. You're for real.
There he is.
So,
we don't invite schmucks down this radio show.
you mean we graduated from Schmucks? That's a good thing, huh? That's official. No, but all seriousness, I feel like you have a desire to do this.
Of course.
At a time when it's so. Wouldn't you rather be at the skate park, like jamming out with your headphones on? Like you're doing this, you really want this.
Yeah. And, it makes me think about, because for me, I'm almost 40. I'll throw my age out there. But, I think about wanting to have kids and raise a family in this town. And it's just so intimidating to see, like...
Hang on a minute. Hang on a second. Does he have a girlfriend? And where is she? Do you have someone in mind?
I'm dating,
Okay.
I'm dating.
Okay.
Are we dating? Who are we dating?
All right. Hey, more power.
We'll continue that conversation.
Is the dater watching?
Maybe.
Okay. All right. So, thumbs up.
But just to that point,
Yeah.
I think about, how difficult it is for families to raise kids in this town, and then the uncertainty that comes with if you're a family who's renting, for example, like I was mentioning earlier, there's a couple down the block from me that had a kid, and the landlord, even though that they were applying for all the rental assistance,
Right.
trying to
They
get that,
out.
got kicked out.
Yeah.
And where do they go? Do they end up on the street?
Texas.
This happens. It's been. I know. I have a list of people in that same.
And so it's one of these things too. Like if you don't have intergenerational wealth in this community, and you don't have a parent who can help you out with the down payment on the house, and you're trying to have a family, you're stuck. And these are teachers, these are healthcare providers, these are our service industry workers, there are essential workers, and that's the thing. It's become so uncertain. That's why I'm just like, we need people who are going to step up, who are going to help this next generation, make sure that they have a place for them, that their kids have a place where they can stay, and that the next generation of children have a place that's going to be.
I feel like your message is, you're for the people,
Yeah.
not for the buck.
Nope.
It's a very interesting message, and honestly, I feel like I wish you the best of luck.
He's trying to get employees for you, TC.
No, but I
Yeah.
feel
He's trying to
like,
get you to stay here so they can work in a skate shop
You know
and be
what?
forced to live here.
When I interview
Right?
potential employees, my first question is,
Which is
do you live at home? Honestly,
Yeah.
that's my first
is
question.
that legal?
Yeah.
Yes, but that's an interesting question because I honestly, as an entry level employer, I can't afford people who have to pay rent in this town. It's tough.
Because they're gonna have
It's really
you have
tough.
to have 4 jobs.
But
to be able
most
to live
moms
here.
are like, "Hey, Junior,
Right.
get a job to pay your car insurance while I pay your free rent and feed
Mhm.
you and pay your health insurance and I put clothes on you. Go get a job to pay for your car insurance." Those are the kind of jobs that people like myself can afford those employees.
Right.
It's a very tough situation, and I agree with that. But I also feel like you're on a mission to support the people that are struggling in our community. And at the same time, I feel like those are the voters.
Yep.
Because the people who are above that are funding campaigns for their interests.
Right. Right.
So if somebody's struggling, they can go to what? Instagram?
They can go to Cummings for Supervisor.
Got it.
And they can go to CummingsForSupervisor.com.
All right.
Let's blow that up.
And
Yeah.
they can go to Cummings for Supervisor on Facebook, and they can find my page.
Are you going to have a debate?
You know, there are forums. So,
Right here, TC. We have a debate.
Can we,
right
can
here.
we do a debate here?
dude, if you guys want to.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, I mean,
We can
you
do
know,
that?
what we end up, the forums, the way that they're structured is that different groups, so whether it's like the Democratic Women's Club, whether it's whether it's SEIU, the union, they'll invite the candidates, and then we'll sit down and they'll just ask us questions, and it's like, you have 2 minutes on this question, you have 2 minutes on this question, and then we'll move on to the next one. So it's not your traditional debate, but it is an opportunity for groups in the community to ask us questions and to hear how we respond and what are our thoughts.
Right.
You know, you have to-
I want to know your thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm not in the city. I can't vote for, but I'm just saying. I feel like the people want to hear your thoughts, and
Yeah.
the more forums that are available for that, the better they can get to know you
Right.
and your opponent to figure out who they should vote for.
And you're gonna give your hat off to anybody who wants to throw the hat in the ring,
Absolutely.
right? You're gonna give
Yeah.
anybody whoever wants. You're gonna tip your hat.
Because
Yeah.
currently, I know you'd love to be down there at Mike Fox drinking a Miller Lite, and skateboarding down there at the park,
Skating.
Like, seriously, I mean, your worry is like, where's my helmet? But you've thrown your life into this, make Santa Cruz a better place.
When I first met him,
Yeah.
TC, at this party,
You're like, he's crazy.
and
This
like
guy,
the black guy, right from Chicago with dreads. I'm like, you're gonna be what? The new mayor? Good luck. And I'm thinking, and I thought to myself, I give him half an hour. He's still here. Now he became mayor, and now he's trying to become supervisor. My hat is off to you, my friend.
Your future
Yeah, for
kids,
sure.
I mean, you will have children, or you'll have family.
Where is she?
happens in your
Hang on,
life,
what's her name?
They're gonna be very proud
Yeah.
that you were the mayor of Santa Cruz. Because
Yeah.
there's very few mayors of Santa Cruz. And when the town has a long history, the list of mayors is short. So
But,
congratulations.
you know those photographs you see on the wall of all the mayors of Santa Cruz?
Yeah.
Right? Then you run across Justin, and you're like,
How many black mayors have we had? Do you know?
None.
I'm the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of African American,
African-Americans? Yeah.
Martine was the first, and then I'm the first black mayor, is what people have been saying.
Okay.
But second African American, and now Sonia Bruner.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Sonia's awesome.
Right.
She was
Yeah.
just here. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
And I seriously wish the best of success.
Thank
We
you.
need more people who think like you. Because this place is special.
Yeah.
It should be a team effort. And I felt like we've kind of lost that a little bit.
Yeah.
I am team captain of Santa Cruz. We need more captains like yourself. So congratulations to being that person and wanting to be that person. Neil, right? We always say it takes a team to do this.
Right.
And congrats.
Thanks.
So
He gets a new pair of socks.
gets a pair of Merge 4 socks.
Right.
Cindy, thank you for
Thank you,
giving
Cindy.
everybody that shows up a pair of socks. I just want to blow up again your
Facebook
social
page.
media and Facebook. And again, if somebody wants to give you $5, how would they get you $5 to buy some signs, or if
Yeah.
they want a sign?
Yeah. So CummingsForSupervisor.com.
Okay.
Go to the website. There's a link to the donate page, which is through Active Lube, and you can go there. You can donate. You can sign up to volunteer if you want to, have a yard sign in front of your lawn. There's information on the website for where people can go to. Also, again, on social media, Facebook, Cummings for Supervisor, and Instagram, Cummings for Supervisor.
Love it. And if
Yeah.
somebody has a question, like maybe they're thinking about rail trail, like myself, they could message you.
Yeah.
You'll reply and let them know your views, maybe your suggestions,
Yep.
and you will interact with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Neil,
That's it.
I feel like we have become a springboard for people's dreams in this community.
That's right.
And Justin Cummings, congratulations, because I want to congratulate you for caring.
Yep.
Seriously.
Yeah.
We need more people who care. You didn't have to care,
Right. Yeah.
The kid from
but you do.
The
Yeah.
kid from Chicago is caring
Yeah.
about Santa Cruz, California. That's very cool.
And we need people who are watching. You can care too. You can do this.
Yeah.
Step in.
Seriously, if you really feel the need, Neil, if you want to be on the show, we'll put you on the show.
That's right.
And you can talk about how you can
Come on
save
down.
Santa
We'll do a
Cruz.
debate. We'll have a debate right here.
We're going to do the debate. If we do a debate, can we
Sure.
do it?
Yeah.
And not a friendly debate.
Yeah.
But we'll do a good sort of debate. Justin Cummings throwing his hat. Supervisor, District 3 here in Santa Cruz County. Congratulations. The
Thank you.
mayor, the
And-
former mayor, councilman.
And perhaps soon to be supervisor. You can catch the show later on tonight on YouTube or all
Yes.
podcast platforms, iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, all those platforms you can catch the show at.
And Neil,
And-
one more thing.
Yes.
Your viral tsunami video.
3.2 million people watched that video.
Million people
Our YouTube video blew
blowing
up.
up. Hundreds of thousands of people.
Subscribe to us on YouTube,
Yeah.
and our next show, you're going to be gone for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Our next show is going to be Jeff Weirs from Expendables right here.
Expendable show right here.
Expendables show right here.
You know, I love our show because we get diversity.
Yep.
We get the people who care.
Yep.
We get the music that matters.
Yep.
And I love that about the Off
It's
Limit
fun.
Radio Show.
That's right, it's
Justin
fun.
Cummings, you've been a great guest tonight.
Thank you,
Thanks.
sir.
Congrats to supporting our town, to being the mayor, the councilman, throwing your hat for District 3, and just caring, man. Seriously.
Thanks.
We need more of you. People out there, we will see you next time on
Thanks,
the Off
buddy.
Limit Radio Show.
Thank you
Good
very
night,
much.
everybody.
Good night.